Hello, my loves. Welcome back to the Balanced Blonde podcast, Soul on Fire. I am sitting here going through something slightly interesting in that I thought I was opening my computer to record an intro and outro for this episode, which I thought was an episode I recorded with Jonathan, my husband, all about our wedding, recapping our wedding, talking all about wedding planning, our tips, answering questions. And I am scouring my computer at the moment, and I'm not seeing the saved episode anywhere, which is pretty surprising because this has never happened before. But a few days ago, my computer was completely overloaded with files and I deleted tons of things. I thought I was very careful about what I deleted, and I thought I was very careful to save the remaining as yet unreleased episodes. So I don't really know where it went. Disappointing because it was so good and we went really deep and we answered all of your questions and recapped our whole wedding and talked about our whole wedding and the wedding planning process. And you guys might know my husband is pretty private and it's just not every day that I get him to come on the podcast. However, I will say everything happens for a reason, and we could not possibly be spending more time together than we are right now. Probably everybody in a relationship can relate at the moment, being quarantined and at home with the person you love. So if I, in fact, cannot find this episode, we're just going to have to redo it, and he's not going to be very happy with me, but I hope I can retrieve it. It must be somewhere. It must be in the iCloud somewhere. I'm honestly still searching as I'm talking to you guys right now. However, I'm taking this as an opportunity to share with you guys about my water fast, which I just finished about 6 days ago. And I was planning on recording a solo episode about this. And I was also possibly going to have Jonathan interview me for it because he's a really good interviewer. But now that it looks like we're probably going to have to redo our wedding episode, unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on how you look at it, I will probably just do this as a solo episode. So this is as off the cuff as it gets because I wasn't planning on doing this right now, but I feel good. I feel inspired and I've been excited to share about this with you guys. So I don't see why not with talking about the water fast as an impromptu solo episode today. So as usual with my solo episodes, especially lately with everything going on in the world, I would love to begin by just doing a super brief meditation with you guys. So wherever you are, close your eyes and take a big deep sigh in through the nose and out through the mouth. And do that a couple more times just to get nice and centered. Eyes closed, maybe envisioning a color, gazing into your beautiful third eye. And just letting any stress, any anxiety that you may feel, letting it melt away as you come home to yourself, home to your body. Tap in, tune in, and feel how good it feels to be in your body today. Maybe things have been a little difficult, a little challenging. I know we're all going through a lot right now. So in this moment, I would love for you to envision something that makes you happy. Bring it into your mind's eye. This can be a person, a place, a feeling. I love to combine all of those things, person, place, and feeling. And just take yourself to that happy place in your mind's eye. Breathing there, surrounding yourself with a white, bright colored light. And calling in your higher self. asking your higher self if your soul has anything to share with you. Maybe something that you haven't been listening to, or something that you have been avoiding or running away from. You wouldn't be alone in doing that, especially right now. And just sit quietly and listen to whatever comes up. Our souls are always trying to speak to us. And sometimes we just rush through life and we don't listen. So now is your time to listen. And taking 5 more deep breaths here, listening to whatever your soul has to share with you. And letting a breath out. Coming back to yourself, back to your body. Hopefully, actually, that meditation got you into your body so that we can have a really heart-centered chat, and I can catch you guys up on my water fast, and we can also talk about the importance and the science of water fasting, why I water fasted, on and on. And I also thought it would be fun to start my episodes lately with a peach and a pit. So like a high point and a low point of the day and of the week. And if you guys think of your peaches and pits, you can share them with me on Instagram. I love doing this kind of stuff. Most of all, I love focusing on the positive, but I also like to share the ups and downs of what I'm going through, especially because right now we could all use a little more connection. So I was thinking about this earlier. My peach is that I finally just was able to go on a walk outside for the first time in about more than 3 weeks, because I was water fasting. So I wasn't going on walks. I was completely inside in bed for over 2 weeks, and I was sitting outside, but I wasn't able to go on a walk and talk to the flowers and the trees. And you guys know how I feel about nature and how healing it is. So that was so amazing. I just got back from this walk about 30 minutes ago, and I wore a little bandana over my mouth and safely social distanced from anyone that I saw outside. And it was so amazing. That was definitely my peach. Also just being home with my boys, with Jonathan and Hudson, after being gone for 2 weeks, which felt like 2 years, which we will get into, is definitely a really high point as well. My pit, well, one pit that I can think of is that after water fasting, it takes your body some time to adjust to digestion as normal. And I've actually been really lucky this time around. This is my 3rd long water fast, which some of you may know. I've been lucky in the sense that my digestion has been amazing post-water fast. I've been drinking lots of good digestive teas and things have been flowing, and that's not been a problem. But the problem is, and sorry if this is too much information, but we definitely talk about this stuff on Instagram, so I feel like I can talk about it here too. Hemorrhoids. Hemorrhoids are so freaking painful. If you've never had one, count your lucky stars. If you have, then you know how painful they are. And so since when you're water fasting, you're not going to the bathroom, you're not pooping. And because you're not taking anything in, you're not eating. So I basically went like 16, 17 days without going to the bathroom. And when you begin doing that again, it's a lot for your body. So if you're prone to hemorrhoids can happen. It's definitely not directly correlated to the water fast. I'm prone to hemorrhoids. They run in my family. I get hemorrhoids when I'm stressed. My grandma got hemorrhoids. My mom got them, my cousins, my aunts and uncles. It really runs in our family. So my pit would be terrible, terrible, terrible hemorrhoids at the moment that I'm going to have to go to the doctor and get those checked out in a couple days, which sucks because I'm not eager to sit in a doctor's office right now with everything going on, but this is a pretty severe issue. So that would be my pit. Things could definitely be worse. I'm grateful for my health. I'm grateful for so many things. One other thing that's kind of like a peach and a pit is I'm not going to say the publication, but it's a huge publication. Think of like the hugest publication, one of the most popular, if not the most popular in the US. Someone wrote an article in this publication that was supposed to be hateful toward myself and other people in the wellness space. And those of us who were named were me, Miranda Kerr, Gwyneth Paltrow, Amanda Chantal Bacon, founder of Moon Juice, and maybe one or two other people. The medical medium. And this was supposed to be like a very hateful article toward wellness. But ultimately, after reading it, I was just honored to be featured alongside of these people who I admire so much. And it was such a reminder to me that when people don't live in a high vibrational state of mind, they hate on what they don't know and what they don't understand. And this person who wrote this article, it was very much all about how wellness is trying to step in and be the savior right now as we're going through this global pandemic. And so it was hating on Goop, and it was hating on myself, and it was hating on Miranda's company for doing good things for the world right now and trying to uplift people's spirits and provide health and wellness tips and hacks and spirituality and all the things. But it was all about, it was basically making fun of us. And normally this would hurt my feelings and this would be a pit because I don't like, I of course don't like people saying negative things about me in the media, but this actually turned into a peach because my mom pointed out to me, it's awesome that you're A, making the world a better place and spreading the high vibe message, and B, featured alongside these people who you admire so much. So it turned out being a peach. And I just wanted to share this because of a couple reasons. The first one being those of us who are, you could say, ahead of the times when it comes to spirituality, high vibrations, etc. We are always going to receive people who don't understand us and people who honestly hate on the message. And if you're listening to this podcast, I'm sure it's happened to you as well. And I'm sharing this because my outlook is, first of all, at least they're listening. And second of all, I'm just going to keep being me, and it doesn't really matter what other people think because I know my heart is pure. My intentions are pure. I literally came to this earth to make the earth a better place, to make the earth a happier place. And I know what I came here to do and what's important to me and what makes me happy. And I know that it resonates with the people who need to hear it. And then secondly, because we just can't harp on the small stuff. That's why I wanted to share this, because it would be easy to be upset about something like this. I mean, I've heard way worse about myself, trust me. But in my early days of being in the public eye, it would have really upset me. And it's just not worth my time. It's not worth my energy. And I think it's important to show that we can turn anything into a positive, literally anything, including what's going on in the world right now. And of course, I don't want to diminish the pain that anyone's going through. But on a very small scale. I hope that you listening can turn this time of everything that's going on right now into a positive in your life, whether it be you're releasing old habits and patterns, you have time to focus on something new. I saw this incredible quote. I'm going to pull it up. I saw it on Instagram and it really spoke to me. And it says, in the rush to return to normal, use this time to consider which parts of normal are worth rushing back to. And this was a quote from an account called Quotes by Christy. She's a graphic designer. And I love this because I realized when reading it, there is so much of my life that is not worth rushing back to. Like, I do not want to rush back to so much of what I was doing in the past, which I will definitely get into. I want to do a whole episode on this, but I am going to keep this episode about the water fast. But I encourage you to think about what it is that you feel so rushed and eager to get back to, and think about the fact that actually right now, maybe this is a good time to reevaluate what you don't want to get back to, and people who maybe are not serving you in the way that they once did, friendships, etc. This is such a potent, powerful time to look inward and make some changes. So I know I'm doing that. And for example, I spent so much time with Lyme, so much time running around to different doctor's offices and appointments. And I lived for my appointments. They made me feel safe. Of course, I didn't realize any of this until I took myself out of that equation. And I had to take myself out of that equation to be part of this quarantine and social distancing. So being taken out of that equation makes me realize a lot of how I was spending my time was just perpetuating me being sick. And now I'm choosing to spend my time in a healing way, a completely different kind of way. I'm flipping the script. We are going to get into this in the episode because it's something that came to me on the water fast, and making huge changes, which I am really excited about. So we're going to talk all about that. Before we do, I want to thank our sponsor for today's episode, Hum Nutrition. So Hum Nutrition is my favorite beauty supplement company. I take their supplements with me everywhere. I even took them with me on my water fast, even though you don't actually take supplements when you're water fasting, but I wanted to have them with me for after, which was good because I definitely needed them when I was coming back onto my regular routine. So first, I want you to know you can use the code SOUL, SOUL, for 20% off of all Hum Nutrition products. They're also shipping right now with no delays, which is pretty rare for everything going on in the world right now. I feel like everyone's pretty aware of that. So I'm very impressed that Hum Nutrition is shipping right now with no delays. They have a bunch of incredible products. I love to use their daily cleanse. I'm all about the daily cleanse, which is vegan and helps get rid of toxins that can cause breakouts in your skin. It helps to aid in digestion and support detoxification. And it's full of important detoxifying agents like chlorella and spirulina. Another thing that makes Hum Nutrition so special is that you can talk to a nutritionist on their site. So if you have questions, you don't know where to get started, not sure what to begin with when it comes to supplements and products, you can talk to nutritionists on their website and just take a short, simple little quiz that will help you figure out exactly what you should be taking based off of your deficiencies and also based off of how you feel. So they have different products for everything. They have products for energy. They have products for chilling out. They have products for sleep, for metabolism, for hair, skin, and nails, for your gut, for your mood, for anti-aging. They have B12 support, which is great for those of us, my fellow vegans. So check them out at humnutrition.com. Use that code SOUL, SOUL, for 20% off. And now we'll just start chatting about my water fast. So I was away, just to kind of rewind, for 15 days doing this water fast. And just to break down for you what water fasting is and why I do it, why this was my third time doing it for Lyme disease. So it's basically exactly what it sounds like, where you only drink water for a period of time. So you're fasting from food, you're not eating food. You are fasting from everything, actually. So you're not using shampoo and conditioner. You're not washing your face, not even brushing your teeth, which it's crazy what happens, but you don't even need to brush your teeth when you're not eating food and you're not doing anything. You're just laying and resting. It feels a little weird at first, and you can brush your teeth with water, but not with toothpaste. And you're fasting. Some people choose to fast from technology. Some people choose to fast from talking to people. I have definitely done a little bit of that in my fasting days, but for this particular fast, especially with everything going on in the world, I wanted to remain connected to my friends and family. So I still stayed in touch with people. I stayed on social media, although I drastically cut back the time that I was spending on social media, which was really nice and really healing during this time. And yeah, so you can choose to fast from anything and everything, but you definitely do have to fast from products and cleaning supplies and shampoo and conditioner, like I said, all that stuff. Because you're giving your body a break, and you're not just giving your body a break from food, you're giving your body a break from everything. And the reason why this is so beneficial and why I started doing it a few years ago for eczema, originally for chronic hives and eczema, which made all that inflammation go away and has never come back, which is incredible, is because on average, we use about more than 40% of our daily energy digesting and absorbing food. So this percentage changes depending on the type of food you eat, but it also depends on how healthy or how sick of a person you are. So for me, someone who is chronically ill and has major stomach issues, I've always had major stomach issues, and my body spends so much time breaking down and digesting food and has a lot of issues breaking down and digesting food. All of that energy can go back into healing your body. So if you can imagine conserving all that energy, and also you're resting, because when you're fasting, it is not advised to go out and do things in normal life whatsoever. You could maybe do that for a day. It still wouldn't be advised. Part of fasting is resting and committing to being in bed, resting, not really walking around, not really moving your body. You don't have the energy or the desire to do this when you're fasting, but people ask me this question all the time. They say, "Oh, this looked so amazing for you, and I want to try this myself. Can I try this at home?" I always say, no, I don't recommend trying it at home, because it's just too hard to do unless you're an experienced faster to do it at home, because typically at home, we have responsibilities, we have people to be around, we have people to take care of, we have things to take care of. This is not what you want to do when you're water fasting. You want to be resting and you want to be taking care of your body. So another benefit of water fasting is called autophagy, which is our body's way of cleaning out damaged cells in order to regenerate new healthy cells. So the only way that our body can get into autophagy is to not eat food, which sounds simple enough in theory, yet I don't think most people listening know how hard it actually is. So to get into, for your body to experience autophagy, most researchers agree that an extended fast kind of has to be definitely more than 24 hours, but 36 or more hours to get into autophagy. Some people's bodies, it takes them 72 hours to experience autophagy. And doctors who study autophagy would say that this is something that healthy people should do 2 or 3 times a year. Of course, consulting with a doctor, but people who are sick this is a way for us to heal. It's pretty incredible. And in order for autophagy to happen, of course, we have to be in ketosis. And I think more people are familiar with ketosis than they are with water fasting, because ketosis is definitely having a big moment, especially within people who eat keto, paleo, within that whole crowd. So ketosis is a metabolic process. And when our body doesn't have enough glucose for energy, it burns stored fat. So people who are very into the keto diet are into it because it burns fat, and people sometimes have very, very great experiences with it, especially people who need to lose weight. And in my experience, especially a lot of men, but also I've seen women thrive on a keto diet as well. Keto didn't work for me, but I'm not here to talk about keto. I'm just kind of referencing it because I think a lot of people understand ketosis. And so autophagy is similar in the sense that these old sick cells in our body are dying, and then new cells are being regenerated, which is amazing, especially for those of us with chronic illness. We want all of the cellular healing and regeneration that we can get. So that's just a little bit of the background on fasting. One of the first questions I usually get about water fasting is, oh my gosh, how is that safe? And there's a few different answers to that question. So one thing is that it's very important to be monitored by a medical doctor when you're fasting, someone who checks your pulse and who checks your blood pressure, typically every day. So I've always done my fasts at water fasting facilities where I get my pulse and my blood pressure taken every day. And then once a week, get your electrolytes tested in your bloodstream to make sure that you're not running low on electrolytes. And if you were, they would put you on juice. And also, once a week, they have you do a urine test to make sure that you're in ketosis. Because if you're not and you're fasting for a long period of time, that wouldn't be good. So to get into more of my own personal experience, rather than giving you guys all of the scientific details, I just wanted to set that up for you at first so that you understand what water fasting is, why someone would do it. I also just want to say, because it's an interesting topic to share about on a podcast, because I know there are a lot of opinions out there and people who don't understand water fasting definitely, can hate on it because it sounds extreme, but there is nothing more extreme in the entire world than feeling like you're on the verge of dying every single day from Lyme disease, and from the pain that comes along with living with the chronic illness, and the pain that comes along with having terrible rashes all over your body and living in a very high state of inflammation and brain fog, and living basically under a cement blanket, which is how my friend, who also did a lot of water fasting for healing, explains what it's like to live with Lyme disease. And that is what's extreme. That's what's painful. That's what's hard. So I just wanted to put that out there, that if you feel any judgment toward the whole water fasting thing, then you probably just don't understand what it feels like to live in chronic pain. And for that, I'm glad that you don't have to ever feel that way, but just keep in mind, people heal in all different ways. And it's so wild to me that in our culture, it's so much more accepted that people eat fast food and people eat burgers and people take whatever medications they're given and are put on medications for their entire life and take them without a second thought. But when someone tries to take their health into their own hands by doing something like a water fast or other types of holistic healing, that it can be very looked down upon. And, that's just the world that we live in. But I am here to show that there is another way. There is a way to heal. It's possible. It's possible to heal. It's beautiful to heal. I feel like a completely different person than I did when I started this fast. So I was very happy to find this particular fasting facility. in Southern California because I've done both of my other fasts at True North in Santa Rosa, California, which is in NorCal. It's about 2.5 hours from where I grew up in Sacramento. True North, I don't even know what's going on there right now, if they're still hosting people or not because of what's going on with the pandemic, because usually True North takes a lot of people at once, maybe like 70-ish people will be at True North at one time, living at the medical facility with access to the doctors and then the food for the refeeding and treatments and everything that they have there. So I wanted to find a place in Southern California just so I could be closer to home, closer to Jonathan. And I also just wanted to do it in a more private facility this time. So I was very lucky to find a very private home in Orange County with a doctor who used to work at True North. So it's the exact same process at True North, the process that I was used to. And it couldn't be more knowledgeable. I felt really, really safe with him. And he takes about 4 people at a time. And for the most part of the time that I was there, it was just me because other people had been planning on coming in from out of state. And of course, people aren't really traveling right now. And then by the end of my time, there were 2 other people there fasting, also taking advantage of this downtime for their health. But, we didn't really see much of each other because when you're fasting, you just keep to yourself. So as far as the whole isolation and social distancing thing goes, I felt very, very safe there. In fact, more safe than I felt here, just because I wasn't even going outside on walks, obviously not going to the grocery store, not doing anything. I was just in my room healing. So, it was a Friday on the day that I went there. I decided that I was going to start water fasting that day, especially because I've water fasted before and I knew what I was getting myself into. I wanted to just wake up that day here in my apartment and start water fasting so that I could get there and I would already be on day 1. And basically it would be one step closer to coming home, because that's something that you think about a lot while you're water fasting is just, of course, patience is important, but you know, it happens very quickly that you start to miss home, and food and life and routine. And it can be a very, boring process because there's nothing that breaks up the day, but we'll get into that. So woke up that day, water fasted. Jonathan drove me to the facility and I got there and I already was feeling detox symptoms. So that happened really, really fast this time. Sometimes it takes a few days to start detoxing. Other times, just depending on what your body's going through, you can detox right away. So some detox symptoms that I felt were I had a really bad headache when I arrived, that quickly turned into a migraine. I felt very, very tired, a little nauseous, couldn't really sleep, even though I was so tired, because insomnia is a really big symptom while water fasting. So I had a lot of detox symptoms that first day. And then the second day was tougher. I really just didn't have energy, and mentally I felt very strong. I felt like I am here for the long haul. I feel like the universe conspired to get me here. Every single thing in my path for the entire month, and now, as all of us know, for the next couple months as well, has been completely canceled. There's nowhere else to be. This is my time to heal. So mentally, I felt very strong, but physically, that second day was pretty hard, to the point where that night I really struggled and I was awake for the entire night. And you might have seen me post about it on Instagram the next day. My migraine turned very severe. I started getting lightheaded and dizzy. My heart was racing. I got really nauseous. I started throwing up in the middle of the night. And Luckily, I knew from my previous fasting experiences that this happens. This is a detox symptom, especially for someone who is full of toxins. Of course, with Lyme disease, I am full of so many toxins. It's pretty common to have these really severe detox symptoms, which in Lyme lingo is called herxing. So a Herxheimer reaction. So really, really, really intense herxing all night long, to the point where I knew, oh my gosh, I have got to have juice tomorrow. So that's the thing with water fasting. Every day, you really get to decide what your body needs. And if you are as sensitive as me, and I'm a small person, I'm not, there are people who water fast who desperately need to lose weight, and it's really, really, really amazing for them. And it has helped people heal from diabetes and so many things. For me, I obviously don't have that much excess weight to lose, or any. So with water fasting, you have to kind of go into it knowing that. So on that third day, I woke up, I knew that I needed juice, and juice really helps to slow down the detox and give you a little bit of nutrients. Sometimes it can take you out of ketosis. Sometimes you will stay in ketosis if you've already been deep into ketosis, which my body was at that point. So I decided to then do 2 days of juice, and usually the doctor will help you decide what's best for you. In this case, he and I both agreed, definitely juice, got to slow down these detox symptoms. It's just too intense. And it's safer for your body to slow it down as well. So perhaps instead of being so gung-ho out the gate and trying to water fast from home that Friday, I probably should have started with juice and then eased into it. But I did it the opposite way. I did 2 days of water and then 2 days of juice. And basically midday on that third day, I started to feel so much better thanks to the juice. It's pretty incredible what our bodies do when we just give them the chance to heal. And when we pause, we tune in and allow for this sacred pause to happen. And then juice all of a sudden becomes like the nectar of the gods and tastes amazing and gives you everything you need, all the energy, all the nutrients that you need, especially because you're doing nothing but resting. So day 3, day 4 were juice, and that was helpful and that was good. And then after day 4, I was ready to go back into water. And at this point, after day 4. So then I was on day 5. At this point, 5 days when you're water fasting feels like 5 months or 5 years, because the days are long. If you're like me, you're really not sleeping because there's just a lot of insomnia when you're fasting. So the days are even longer. They are not 12-hour days. They are 24-hour days. And don't get me wrong, I love downtime. I love being with myself. I love having nothing to do and nowhere to be, which is exactly how I made my schedule when I was there, to really just read, watch TV, rest, and stretch. And that's it. So I was really enjoying myself. I think it's so nice to give our brains a break from the crazy schedules that we have all day, every day, all the time. So yes, I was on my email here and there. I was on social media here and there. But for the most part, my team really stepped in for me so I could truly use this time to heal, which was so important. And I was just letting my brain have a rest. I was watching reality shows. Everybody knows I love Vanderpump Rules. I love Real Housewives. I am a spiritual junkie who also loves reality TV because we can be everything and we don't have to put ourselves in a box. So I was loving that. I was loving reading books. But the days were still long. And by that 5th day, I was really relying on my mantras to keep me going. So I was journaling a lot every single day, which was probably the best part of the water fast because I just tuned so deeply into myself and wrote so many things down and just really connected with myself and everything I needed during this time. So the mantras that I was repeating to myself constantly were one day at a time, this too shall pass, mind over matter, which was constant to me, mind over matter, mind over matter, mind over matter. Healing for my boys, because I always have to remember my why when I'm fasting. Because if you forget your why, you're done. Your body is done. So my why is healing for my boys and healing for myself, first and foremost, but definitely healing for Jonathan and Hudson. And then I'm stronger than I know. Those were my 5 mantras that I would repeat to myself from the second I opened my eyes in the morning until the second, if I was lucky enough to fall asleep at night. That was what I was telling myself. And it was needed. And people ask me all the time, how do you find the mental strength? How do you find the willpower to not eat and to do a water fast? And I think my main piece of advice would be to know your why and to have really powerful mantras. And if you're not a mantra person, that's fine, but maybe something that resonates with you, like a prayer or something that you tell yourself over and over, which is, of course, a mantra, but there's different ways you could go about it and different things you could call it. And my main mantra was mind over matter, mind over matter. And when things got really tough, it was just constant, like, nope, mind over matter. Like, I came here for a reason. I came here to heal, and I am not leaving here without healing. And when things got especially physically hard, I would go on juice. So that's something that I think people would probably be interested to know, is that I ended up doing so I did those 2 days of water, then 2 days of juice, then I did 3 days of water, then I did 2 days of juice. And then I did 2 days of water, and then I went back on juice. So I did have a good handful of days on juice while I was water fasting, especially this time around, because that's just what my body needed. And when you're already in that deep state of ketosis and autophagy, you're staying in ketosis and you're still getting those amazing benefits. But for me, the detox symptoms were so severe and so painful and so hard that I really needed the juice to give me a little bit of strength and to also take away those raging migraines and joint pain and different things. So if you have Lyme and you're doing a water fast, you can expect to definitely have those Herx die-off reactions. So for me, that was a lot of joint pain because that's one of my main symptoms. Jaw pain, headaches, sinus pain, but also I felt a lot of that leaving my body. And literally by day 2, day 3, even though those were hard days for me, I was telling my mom, I feel better doing this than I feel at home. And of course, there's an energy that comes along with eating and fueling your body with food that there's nothing like it, having that true energy of daily life. But aside from that, my body was feeling better water fasting because I wasn't having those painful symptoms in my stomach that I always have, shooting dagger pains that I would have every time I was eating food. The inflammation, the pain, the brain fog, all of that was melting away. And it was such an incredible feeling. So that was another thing that gave me the mental strength to keep going. And then I really wanted to get into the spiritual benefits because the physical benefits of water fasting are incredible. They're like nothing you've ever experienced in your life, seen or heard of. Like, it's truly amazing what happens physically with the cells that die, the toxins that die, because you're putting your body in an environment where disease can't live. So people also do water fasting for shrinking tumors. I've done water fasts for shrinking fibroids. You know, I had the uterine fibroid issue a few years ago, and there's so many positive benefits there. And then beyond physically, the spiritual element, oh my goodness. So on that second night, when I was having kind of my dark night of the soul experience, I was really going through it. And I hit this point in the middle of the night where I was in so much pain from like the most intense Herxheimer die-off I've ever had in my life. And it wasn't just the die off because I knew I was fasting and this too shall pass. It was more like I was realizing the pain that I'm in every single day and the severity of living with Lyme disease and how incredibly challenging it is and how incredibly painful my daily life is and was and had gotten to. And it was that really pushed me over the edge and brought me to my knees in the middle of the night on that second night where I was kneeling on the ground in the dark, hysterically crying and with my hands to my heart, praying to God and saying, God, I'm talking to you. I'm here. I'm listening. I surrender. I surrender everything I have in my heart and my soul and my body because I can't live this way anymore. And I know I'm strong and I've done this for years and I've pushed past it for years. And I know that I was given this opportunity to have Lyme disease for a reason because there's so much to learn and there's so much healing to share with the world. But I don't want this anymore and I can't do this anymore. And I surrender because I'm done. I can't have this pain anymore. I'm ready to go to the next phase of my life and not just ready, but I have to. And it was this hysterical rock bottom, true breaking point of like, whatever you need me to do, I will do it. I will literally be your servant because I can't do this anymore. And I'm done. I'm done with the pain. It's not mine to carry anymore. And oh my gosh, you guys, I have chills, full body chills talking about this because it was the most intimate moment of my life. And I'm very grateful to be able to share it with you guys and talk about it here because there's never been anything like it. And the spiritual journey that Lyme has taken me on is something I will never take for granted. And my spiritual journey has unfolded over the last several years. You guys know I talk about it on the podcast all the time. But beyond that, this relationship with God, which I really view as my relationship with myself, because I really believe we are our own creator. And I know there's a lot of different viewpoints on God and they're all beautiful to me. So talking to God and addressing God versus addressing the universe or my soul or my higher self, this was really new to me. And it felt amazing because when I did speak out loud to God, I literally felt pain draining out of my body. And then I felt this healing warmth, like radiating all around me, this pulsating warmth where I felt like I was taken care of and like I was being healed. And I knew that God had heard me and God was listening. And then I was really given the tools from there, very clear tools to see what I was to do next. And what that was there was a lot of things. I think God gave me a list of like 20 things that need to change in order for me to be able to heal because I surrendered everything to God. And in return, what I received was the clarity and the guidance of like, this has to change and this has to change and this has to change. And you have to commit to living differently in order to actually heal. And of course, as it always is, they were things that I already knew in my heart and in my soul to be true. But in the midst of daily life, these were things that I didn't want to know, that I didn't want to believe were so serious. And of course they are. And that's why I am so of the belief that when we get sick, we are being called to rise up and to wake up and to open up spiritually and to learn. And I'm so grateful for for the things that I learned that night and that I've learned on this whole journey, and just to share a couple of those things that God made so clear to me needed to change. One of them is my relationship with social media and using social media as, of course, it's my job and it's a way to connect and I love it. But I really put a lot of pressure on myself to be very present on Instagram. And there's a lot of pressure that comes it's self-inflicted pressure. It's very hard. And I end up spending a lot of time on my phone and technology every day. And it takes me away from my spiritual practice. And it takes me away from meditating and from writing. And basically, writing and sharing my story is what I came to this earth to do, or writing and sharing in general, whether it be fiction, poetry, all the different things. And God showed me that night how far away I've gotten from that purpose, even though I always can convince myself, no, sharing on social media is the same thing. Well, it's really not. It's really not. It's not the same when it comes to the deep, deep healing creativity that can come from really nourishing your soul. And that was just one thing. Other things were a lot more personal, like the way that I interact with everyone in my life and the major pressures that I put on myself in those ways, and the pressure that I've put on myself to be everything to everyone and to be kind of a person that I used to be, that I'm not anymore. But it's really scary to change and to become different and to evolve and to grow. So I always revert back to my old ways, and then I compare myself. And then I beat myself up for it. And basically, God showed me this whole cycle that I've taken myself on. And then the biggest thing is the belief, and living in the limited belief system that Lyme is incurable and that you really just can't heal from it. And that's not true. And I've known that that's not true, but we have to really overcome so many societal beliefs and societal norms in order to truly heal. And this was me coming up against the wall of my next phase, my next steps of healing. And there was so much more stuff that came through, which I'm sure I'll share as time goes on. And I'll share a little bit more in this episode too. So the spiritual elements were amazing. I was writing every day. I was reading. I was sitting in the backyard and speaking to the trees, which I always do. You guys know I love talking to nature, connecting with nature. But it's when you are not eating and you are a true clear channel for the divine order of the universe and nature, communicating with nature is like, it's a first nature thing to do. So I was sitting in the backyard and the trees and the birds were just fully speaking to me. The birds took care of me, to be honest, when I was there. I felt very much like they were my ancestors, my grandmother, my grandfather, other people in my life who have passed away, my angels. They were really taking care of me there. And then every time I asked for a sign while I was there, I received it. And so if you're not familiar with asking for signs and speaking to the universe, I do have a whole course on it, Waking Back Up to Your Own Soul, that teaches you how to ask for signs. And you guys can check that out. We'll leave the link in the show notes. And so one of the days that I was there, I asked for the sign of a double butterfly, not just one butterfly, but a double butterfly. And then Kelsey Patel, my dear friend who's been on this podcast many times, she texted me 2 butterflies. And I was like, Kelsey, this was the sign that I was asking for today. And she is so tapped in to the universal consciousness. She just knew what I needed and she sent it to me. And then I just felt so blessed with so many of the conversations I got to have while I was there water fasting. Definitely in my second week, I reached a point where I was very weak and I wasn't wanting to talk on the phone or anything anymore. And it became very obvious to me that FaceTiming and talking on the phone just was not in my best interest anymore. But in the beginning, I was doing a lot of that. And I talked to my friend, Mama Medicine. She's been on this podcast, Deborah, and she shared a lot with me about just how potent and healing this time was, or, I was in it at that time, and what a gift it is to be able to take time away from life to do nothing but heal. And I really kept that in mind the whole time I was there. Like, wow, this time is a gift. And when you focus on everything happening for us and not to us, and it would have been so easy to get depressed while I was water fasting because you have no energy, you're completely alone. Isolated is isolated doesn't even begin to describe how far away you feel from the entire world when you're doing something like this. It could be easy to get down on yourself, but instead, I was reminding myself over and over, I am so lucky, so blessed to be able to be here and to do this and to take time out from my life to heal. And how beautiful is it that we can literally do nothing and our bodies heal? All you have to do is do nothing. And it's very hard, let me tell you, to do nothing, to stop eating, to stop washing your hair, taking showers, brushing your teeth, talking to people, working, moving around, walking, doing anything. It's very hard. You strip away those things one by one by one by one, and layer by layer by layer by layer, you really discover who you are at the core of all of it, and not who you are as a partner or a daughter or a friend, but who you are as a soul and as a human vessel. And oh my gosh, the insights that I was receiving every day were beyond amazing. And on the flip side, it was hard. And I don't want to talk about it as if it was easy, because not 1 minute of the entire thing was easy. Every moment, you just have to remind yourself of your why. So basically, I ended up being there for 15 days. And by the very end, I was eating a little bit of food so that I had enough energy to come home. And then normally the doctor would keep you there to do what's called a refeeding process. And they refeed you on salt, oil, sugar-free vegan foods. You go really slow, and you start with juice, and then with fruit, and then raw vegetables. And then the next day you can have some steamed vegetables. And then you work your way up many days later to eating things like grains and legumes and fats like avocados and nuts and things. But because I have had the experience, I was able to do most of my refeeding at home. So now I'm on my 5th day of refeeding. And when you guys will hear this, it will be the following week. And I have so much more to say about the experience. I'm not even close to being done. Before I continue on and tell you guys a few more benefits and experiences from the water fast, I also wanted to thank our second sponsor for today's show, Cured Nutrition CBD, my favorite CBD company. And I'm really excited because Joseph, the founder of Cured Nutrition, is actually going to be next week's podcast guest. Either next week or the week after. And we recorded this before the quarantine, right before the quarantine. So it was in person. And it was so fun to connect with him and be with him. He's awesome. So Cured Nutrition is my favorite CBD company. They are made in Colorado. They're completely natural. And it's just pure and potent CBD. So it doesn't get you high. THC is what gets you high. CBD doesn't get you high at all. What I love from Cured Nutrition is their mint tincture. I take it every night before I go to sleep. Jonathan takes it every night as well. It really, really helps with relaxation, helps you fall asleep, calms anxiety, also provides pain management, and can help reduce inflammation. It's a natural alternative to any other type of medication that would reduce anxiety or would help you sleep. I also love their salve. They have this incredible salve that has shea butter and CBD in it that helps so much with pain that I get on my jaw from Lyme disease and from my hands and my back. I use it all the time. And I just love everything about them. I love their branding. I love that they take pride in their community. They host a lot of events and they're visionary people and they're just incredible people. And all of their products are very high quality, third-party tested, subject to a multi-stage inspection to ensure that they bring only the highest quality of products to the market. And all of their products are sourced from organically grown hemp and tested for potency, purity, pesticides, and heavy metals. So they're phenomenal. You can use the code BLONDE for a discount with Cured Nutrition. And I'm excited for you guys to hear the founder on the podcast, most likely next week. So thank you, Cured Nutrition, for sponsoring. And now back into some water fasting chat. So basically, it was hard to decide how short or how long I was going to stay at the water fasting facility because technically I could have stayed another week, but I also really wanted to get home and I was trying to listen to my body every step of the way and not push myself, further than my body was able to handle. And of course, the doctor was there to make sure that I wasn't going to do that or do anything that would be harmful to my body. But when you're water fasting, you can keep going. And a lot of people have asked me about weight loss, and I don't share my weight specifically ever online because I just, especially for healing, it's just not about weight loss to me ever. Or it's not about weight. So I don't get into the details, but because I do think it's important when it comes to water fasting, it's pretty typical to lose about 1 pound per day when you're water fasting. So once you start to get into like 12, 13, 14 days, that's a lot of weight to lose. So I just wanted to make sure that I was giving my body what it needed. And then the juice really helped me supplement that. So I pretty much knew after I did water for several days, and I did juice for a couple days, then I did water again. And I knew at that point my body was really almost done. Like Jonathan came to visit me. Well, he came to visit me 5 times and he's amazing. And he was there one day and it was a hard day for me. I was very hungry. Mentally, I was running out of steam. I was tired. I was in pain. You get very lightheaded when you're water fasting. So you have to stand up really slowly. And when you walked even to the bathroom, like everything is very jarring to your body and your nervous system, and you're sensitive to light and you're sensitive to cold and you're sensitive to touch. And even looking at a computer screen or a TV screen can be very agitating to your nervous system and to your body. So I was reaching this point where my body was just agitated. My nervous system was agitated and I was tired. And I knew, okay, I'm going to do water for a couple more days. And then I'm going to do juice for like 3 days. And then I'm just going to be done because I feel like that's how my body is going right now. And it was a tough call because I could have kept going, and I especially could have kept going on juice. And I actually vlogged this whole thing for YouTube, and hopefully by the time this episode comes out, I'll have edited that video so that I can hopefully put it up on YouTube in tandem with this, which, by the way, you should definitely check out my YouTube channel because Jonathan and I are posting vegan cooking videos and we're having a lot of fun with it. And so yeah, I vlogged the whole thing for YouTube. And so you'll see me on juice being like, I could stay on juice forever. I'm so happy on juice. I'm so nourished and satiated and I have energy and I could literally stay on juice forever. But I also knew I wanted to get home, and I couldn't get home if I was still on juice, because I had to eat a little to have the proper energy for the doctor to comfortably release me. So I did start eating, and I have a plan for moving forward, which I'm very excited about, and I'm still figuring out, because basically my improvements from the water fasting were huge, and it's hard to even describe how different I feel, but I feel like a completely different person, where with the spiritual elements and also the physical elements, I really felt like I went through a death and rebirth process while I was there. And I really did. And it was pretty phenomenal. And my skin, for example, looks completely different than it did when I arrived. And I took daily updates of my skin photos. And I was actually hoping to come out of there and have my skin completely healed. But I realized I still have something toxic going on in my body, causing this kind of cystic acne flare up that I've had, which the medical medium I know says that it's active strep in the body. So that could definitely be. And things are still dying off. So I'm just being patient with myself and very loving with myself. So the benefits were incredible and continue to be. And I feel like so much inflammation has left my body. And this was such a good reset for me. And if you've seen me on Instagram, social media, I'm like bouncing off the walls with energy and happiness and passion for life and excitement and zest. So the doctor who I did the water fast with is thinking that maybe I should come back for another 2-ish weeks so that we can just keep doing what we're doing, which is killing the Lyme and eradicating this Lyme from my body. And I am definitely up for that. Mentally, it would be hard, but it's also, if it's going to heal me, I will do anything. And then my other thought is I might do a lot of small fasts at home and see if that gives me the same benefit as the longer fasts. So tomorrow I'm going to be water fasting for a day and see how that goes. And then I'm just juicing a lot, and we'll do a lot of days of juice fasting at home. And this is all for the benefit. This is all for the healing of Lyme in my body. And I feel really grateful to have connected with this beautiful woman. Her name's Sarah, who healed from Lyme disease through water fasting. And we've been texting today, actually, and I see why she healed, because she is she's so positive. She's such a beautiful spirit, and she had the true belief that she could heal, and she did. And we've been talking, and she did a 21-day fast, and 23 days. She gives me so much hope, because the life cycle of Lyme is 21 to 30 days in the body. So her fast was long enough to totally kill the Lyme. So for me, like a 14-day fast and then another 14-day fast would be a really incredible option. So I'm just going to do anything I can do to continue healing. And then that's part of my plan moving forward, but also food-wise, I'm being really, really selective, and I'm cooking every single meal at home. Jonathan and I are having a lot of fun with that. I'm doing a lot of what I eat in the day videos on YouTube, because when I was water fasting, one of the main things I was doing constantly was watching vegan YouTube channels and just feeling so inspired by the healing power of plant-based foods and plant-based nutrition, which brings me to my next big download and exciting decision that I made when I was water fasting, which is that it became so clear to me that studying plant-based nutrition is something that my soul is genuinely calling for and has been for a long time. So I decided to sign up for a plant-based nutrition program, and I'll be sharing a lot more details about it soon. A lot of people on Instagram have been asking what the program is, and when the time is right, I will share all the details with you guys, I promise. But for now, it feels really good to just be doing something, to learn more, give myself the gift of knowledge, especially something that I have such a huge passion for. Because I think many of you know, I've been creating plant-based cleanse programs for 7 years now, and really just have been inspired by the vegan and plant-based ways of life for so long that it was time to take it to the next level. And there's a whole other exciting thing that I'm doing with the Institute of Integrative Nutrition. So if you're interested in becoming a health coach, that's a whole other thing that I'm excited to share with you guys. And I'm going to be doing an episode on my health coaching journey, which is a program I did 6 years ago, really soon, which is it's another really good place for people to start. Beyond the whole plant-based nutrition program that I'm doing right now. So that was a huge download that came through, as well as the YouTube videos and connecting in that way, especially right now with everything going on in the world. I think it's so important to connect in all of the ways that we can. So connecting with you guys via the podcast is huge. And then via video, I think is really important and really fun too. So YouTube is awesome. I'll leave a link below so you guys can check it out and subscribe and show us some love if you so desire. And then I think the main thing that I have left to say is that when you get quiet, when you strip away all the layers, all the outer layers of life and food and everything else, and you go inside to heal, the answers are all there. It's the most beautiful thing in the entire world. I don't even have words to describe, and it makes me want to cry even bringing it up and talking about it right now, because when you strip everything else away and you just become totally one with yourself and totally one with the universe, and you remember who you are in your heart, all the answers are there. And I received all of my answers, and I'm now just working to go fish all of them out, basically. I received all of my answers, and I'm still decoding what some of those are, if it makes sense, because it's almost like we're going from this 3-dimensional reality into a 5th-dimensional reality of healing. And it can be hard to do. It can be hard to even figure out what's happening, if that makes sense. So I'm figuring it all out, and I'm excited about it. And I'm grateful for everything, for all of it, for the entire journey. And I was talking to my friend Jenna today, who was last week's guest on the podcast, and talking about how I feel completely healed, and saying how I really feel like this time in the world, everything that's going on is a gift to those of us who've been sick, even though, yes, there's a lot of painful things happening right now, because this is our chance. This is our chance to really heal. And I feel like those of us who have been sick are healing. And then we're here to be a lighthouse and to share with the world. And there's nothing that I feel more grateful for in the entire world. So I hope that my water fasting journey can inspire you in one way or another, even if it isn't that you're going to go do a water fast, because I wouldn't even recommend that. There would be many things I would recommend to you first. And if you do feel called, if your soul feels called, then by all means, please do it. And do it with a doctor who knows what they're doing, and take good care of yourself and all the things. But if your heart knows that water fasting can heal you, and you have the mental strength to do it, then hell yeah, I'm totally for it. I'm totally there for you. But if this journey can inspire you in another way, which is to maybe create your own mantras for something hard that you're going through, or to get to know yourself on a deeper level, or to get on your hands and knees and pray and see what comes and look inside, I would love to inspire you in any of those ways. And then mainly, my very, very, very biggest thing is that we can heal. There's nothing incurable. Nothing is incurable, whether it be, a deep sense of sadness or whether it be a serious physical chronic disease. Nothing is incurable, and we can heal, and we will heal. And I'm healing, and I'm such a living, breathing testament to what can happen when you let yourself heal and you let yourself go inside. And that is what I'm dedicated to doing and to bringing to the world and to sharing to the world. And I think you'll notice on social media I'm just going to be focusing on solely the positive in every single way, and not in an annoying way. I still want to talk about real stuff and true things, but I don't want to dwell on my sickness. I feel like I'm leaving it in the past, and I'm healed, and I'm calling healing into my life. And if you want to manifest that with me and call it in with me, please do. And we got this. If you're going through it too, you're not alone. So I'm really glad that I ended up doing this solo episode right now. I wasn't planning on it. As you know, I was planning on recording an intro and an outro for a wedding podcast with my husband, which I actually searched for again in between starting and finishing this episode, and for sure gone, which I'm sad about. But I guess that means we just have to record it again, and he's up for it. He was really nice about it, and we're going to do that for you guys soon. So the final thing that I'm going to share, and then I'm going to stop because my husband is pacing the apartment waiting for me to finish this episode so that he can go on his rowing machine, which is right in front of me. The final thing I will say is that another huge download that I got during the water fast was to really focus on doing solo episodes right now. And I know I mentioned that in a previous episode, that during this time of the coronavirus and not able to sit down with guests rather than doing Skype interviews, I feel really called to just do a lot of solo interviews and solo conversations, and maybe some conversations with my husband and maybe one or two other people. But I don't know. I'm feeling the solos. I feel like there's so much to talk about. I didn't even get into the Pleiadians and how much they took care of me during my fast. So I have a lot more to say, but let's just call this part 1 of the fasting recap. And I can't wait to share more. Definitely check out the YouTube video. And then I'm going to be writing a blog post too, so you can read that if you're interested in learning more about the water fast. And thank you guys so much for listening. Thank you for being amazing. If you feel inspired to rate and review the podcast, I have a free gift for you. Just shoot me an email to jordan@thebalancedmountain.com with your screenshot of your rating and review. And thank you to our sponsors, Hum Nutrition and Cured Nutrition. You guys can look for the discounts in the show notes. And with that, I leave you with all my love. Have an amazing day, and we'll chat soon. Mwah.